Good morning, EduFolk, and welcome to this week's weekly review. Today, I have got Brent, John, and Catherine with me. Good morning to you all. I hope you are well and feeling fine on this Sunday morning. Today, we are covering Ofsted once again. We are going to be talking about converting teachers, and we're going to be talking about Friday curriculum as well. So without further ado, let's get stuck in, shall we? Okay. First up, the scrapping of the curriculum unit by Ofsted. So Ofsted's subject-focused curriculum unit has been completely disbanded, with its subject leads primarily assigned to routine school inspections. There is now a shift in inspection focus under Sir Martin Oliver, and he's wanting to reduce the emphasis on deep dives, a phrase that I know makes many people shudder. In ungraded inspections, marking a shift from the previous approach under Amanda Spielman. There are going to be role changes for subject leaders. So subject leads initially recruited for curriculum research and training will now focus almost entirely on inspections, with their curriculum work reduced on an ad hoc basis. These changes announced in late 2023 and confirmed in early 24 have been met with dissatisfaction amongst Ofsted staff. And the implications, well, there are concerns that have been raised about potential negative impact on quality of inspections, the training of inspectors, as well as the broader workforce and Ofsted's role in providing subject-specific guidance, along with all the other problems that it is facing currently. Catherine, coming to you first. I don't know if you've ever experienced a deep dive or anything like that during any Ofsted inspections you may have been through, but what are your thoughts on this, on maybe stepping away from curriculum focus?
So last week in my calendar, I had, I think, 3 meetings which were to do with preparing for deep dives and getting our curriculum ready. And, you know, I don't think that having taken the time to revisit, review, and shore up and give some careful thought to the curriculum in my subject area, which I lead for RS, has been a bad thing. I think it is healthy to have a look over what you do and see if it's still suitable and think carefully about the sequencing. And it's something that I think needs to have space made for it so that we don't just drift. And it's a bit like the Forth Bridge, isn't it? It's, it's never finished. You've got to start again when you think you finished it and all the rest of it. So I don't think that it's bad that it's happened, that we've been made to shine a light in that area. But a part of me does still think, do you know what, here we go again. What's the next thing going to be? So yeah, it's a bit frustrating that we now have to find a different hoop that we're all going to have to jump through. But I don't think it's bad that we have had that focus.
And John, as someone who I'm sure experienced many inspections throughout your career, this latest shift, does it sort of smack of kind of another sort of knee-jerk move, or to you, do you think this is a good thing?
Well, a bit of both, really. I mean, it sounds to me, as you say, the prospect of a deep dive, notwithstanding what Catherine said, would create stress, and there seems to be a move away from that. Okay, so that's good. So there's a re-evaluation of what Ofsted do to try and lift some of the stress and not do things they don't think are necessary. Well, good, that's good. However, it strikes me that only a little while ago, everything Catherine said is true, and it must have been true then. In other words, having a good look at the curriculum must have been a good idea. People were hired to be subject specialists at Ofsted on the basis that they were doing an important work, and someone's just leaned around the door of their office and told them they're not doing that anymore. Fair enough. So that what was good yesterday isn't good now. Well, so what does this tell you about the sort of plasticity of Ofsted? It changes with the changing times. A new bloke's in charge. Amanda Spielman was too heavy-handed. We're not going to be so heavy-handed. I suppose that's good. It does suggest that something about Ofsted is more, as you say, knee-jerk, more improvised, not clear what they're supposed to do. The role of Ofsted isn't very well defined. Well, yeah. So it is a knee-jerk reaction. It won't be presented that way. Within all the meetings going on Ofsted right now, they'll say this is important, this and important that, just as they were defining how important it was to do subject deep dives only months ago. So the regime has changed and the system has changed. That tells us a lot, I think, about the nature of Ofsted.
Oh, most definitely. And as you can see on screen, there are a couple of tweets here that sit on either side of, or either kind of camp, if you like here. Brent, I'm keen to know which of these you agree with. Just having a quick read there, one from Mike Cameron there and one from Daniel Hargreaves. Which one speaks to your feelings on this more?
Oh, I'm Team Mike on this. I'm Team Abolish Ofsted and the whole lot. Every time this kind of stuff happens, it just fuels more my desire to scrap the whole organization, because the amount of time, the amount of careers, the amount of capital that's been burned, the amount of absolute nonsense, deep dive, get rid of this absolute nonsense lexicon around Ofsted, fear around Ofsted, the constant sort of, we have to do this for Ofsted. I am sick and tired of interpreting the will of an organization that doesn't even know what itself it's meant to do. How are we meant to apply to Ofsted when it keeps changing its opinions more than the teenager changes theirs? It's like basically having a petulant teenager in charge of schools who just basically on a whim would just go and say, oh, I'm sorry, I fancy doing something different today. By the way, you know, you've geared up for the last couple of years of doing it this way. All of a sudden, we're going to just gear up and do a 360. Education doesn't work in short term. Education works in cycles of children of 5, 10, 15 years. We cannot keep doing this. And the industry that's feeding Ofsted, the amount of consultants and snake oil snake men coming in and going, oh, I know how to get you through Ofsted. Here's how this does. I know people whose careers have been ruined because they've been judged by a department, because they've been told to rewrite their schemes of work, because the schemes of work wouldn't pass Ofsted. Well, all that effort they've put in is completely wasted now. All that stress, all that untowards behind the scenes unintended consequences, just because somebody high up just says, right, we can't do this any longer. I'm tired of it. Absolutely tired of it. So yeah, I'm up with Mike on that. I'm not holding back on it. Get rid of the whole organization.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And as
I'm back with my opinion on that one. I'm done with it. I'm literally at that point where I'm sick and tired. Every time something like this comes along, I just go.
And I think there are a lot of people that definitely share that view with you, Brent. And Ofsted comes up regularly on Weekly Review and a number of our shows. So I'm sure this is yes, another one that we will come back to. But I think it's important to move on to a story that has definitely piqued my interest this week. So we're going to be looking at something from Humanist UK that focuses on the conversion of teachers. So this next story focuses on faith schools, particularly Catholic schools. So listen in and see what you all make of this. So the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Southwark's Come and See project aims to convert non-Catholic staff working in state-funded Catholic schools to Catholicism through the Rite of Christian Initiation of Adults, or the RCIA program. Humanist UK condemns this project, arguing that it's inappropriate for state institutions to pressure staff to adopt a particular religion, and raises concerns about the potential for coercion. Faith schools, including Catholic ones, are legally permitted to discriminate in recruitment and promotion practices based on religion, which Humanist UK actually campaigns against. The Archdiocese celebrated the conversion of 4 staff members recently to Catholicism, with Canon Victor Darlington emphasizing the need to evangelize and increase the number of Catholic teachers and head teachers. And there is a related controversy to this. The Archdiocese is also involved in a contentious proposal to merge a particular primary school with a Church of England school, which would result in the closure of the only non-religious school in St George's Ward, which must be in the area. Now, I know that there are going to be some thoughts on this. Brent, I want to come to you first. You knew I was going to pick on you for this one. I'm just going to let you talk on this, I think, because I'm intrigued to know your feelings.
Well, I'm a faith-based educator. I've been for the last 20 years in the same school, and I went through Catholic school myself. Look, this is knee-jerk. The Catholic education system, like many others, is struggling to recruit and retain. This is a rearguard action to recruit more faith-based teachers, because the simple fact of the matter is, like every other sector in education, they've suffered from a recruitment and retention crisis. But there's something else going on, of course, as well, is that the number of people practicing the faith is declining. So it's just, as an organization doing what the organization would do, is just trying to defend itself and trying to ensure that it has the ethos, the values that it has over generations. Now, nobody I've ever known has felt pressured in a Catholic school to convert to Catholicism. You're not going into a Catholic school and all of a sudden you're joining a cult. Have teachers sought out Catholic education and converted while in Catholic education? Yes. Have some done that possibly for career ends? I can only speak to my own experience and knowing that there are people that play games like that, same as there are children who get baptized, and the parents get them baptized to get them into a faith-based school. So I would look at the bigger picture on this: is why do we have faith-based schools? Why do we have independent schools, grammar schools? Why do we have our whole hodgepodge system in this country is one of postcode lottery? But the fact of the matter is we have faith-based schools because there's a gap there for faith-based schools because parents desire that the children go to faith-based schools. And, you know, the Catholic education sector wants to ensure that it has at least some educators in their schools who are of that faith. Because like everything else, the numbers are dwindling and therefore this is their response. But I wouldn't say that the humanists paint a sort of sinister picture as if, you know, Catholic education is trying to somehow, you know, 19th, 17th century convert people and you know, like witch hunt, you know, you convert to Catholicism or we'll sack you. No, that's not how it is within the Catholic sector. Certainly, yes, if you are a practicing Catholic, you know, it's easy for you to network. It's easier, I'd suggest, for you to possibly get promotion, but that depends on the school, depends on your ability as a teacher. Have I known people who've been promoted who are non-Catholics? Absolutely. But we're seeing a change as well, and more people who are secular being promoted within Catholic education because just simply there isn't the numbers there of Catholic teachers. So like everything else, it's had to change, and this is a rearguard action it's trying to fight in order to keep and preserve its ethos.
And Catherine, given that you know you are sort of very focused on our ERS, I'm interested to know because obviously, depending on, and certainly in faith schools, the particularly in Catholic schools, the RE curriculum is focused more on Catholicism. How do you feel about all of this?
I mean, I'm not surprised. I think Brent's right. There's, you know, dwindling numbers and there's a demand and they want to meet the demand. And I'm not surprised that there are movements within Roman Catholicism to try and, you know, get more people to convert to it because that's a, you know, part of the deal. I think, you know, I mean, I personally, it's not a school it's not a school I would choose to work at. I'm not Roman Catholic and I've no desire to be one, and I wouldn't apply, and actually they wouldn't employ me because of that, and that's fine, and that's just the way it is. But you know, I couldn't, in good faith, if that's the right word, espouse a belief that I didn't agree with and pretend that I did. It's not something I would be prepared to do. Maybe some people are, maybe some people aren't. I think the issue of choice, though, and you mentioned that there's the school which might close down, and you know, I think choice is extremely important, and it would be a terrible thing if that choice was reduced to the detriment of the local community, meaning that some people did find that they felt obliged to go to a school that was not, you know, aligned with their faith or their conscience.
Interesting, yes. And John, I was actually going to ask you about this idea of merging schools. Is that not taking away choice from people who maybe live in that area and sort of saying, well, your choice is kind of, if it's in your catchment and if it's the school closest to you, your choice is the Catholic school? Is that not a little bit unfair?
Yeah, it is. I think so. And I'm not a great fan of choice in schools anyway. I think the marketization of schools and people choose schools and look around for the best school, and the anxiety that middle class parents or any parents possibly feel when they are choosing their secondary school shouldn't be the case. We should live in a world where the local school is the local school and it's good enough for all. And I don't like the idea, as Brent suggested, of faith schools generally as a principle. I don't think we should have faith schools. I think secular education, yes, please. That's what we should have. I think education by its nature, it conflicts with the idea of there being certainties. Hopefully, education is all about uncertainty. Well, you know, I can't really blame a Catholic school for wanting Catholic teachers. You know, I mean, lions want to eat antelopes. That's what they do. It's their nature. Catholic schools want Catholic teachers. So when I heard that Catholic schools want Catholic teachers, I thought, well, fair enough. Shouldn't be Catholic schools, but there you go. What I was surprised at when I looked at the come and look thing, I thought, well, come and look, that's all right. You know, you want them to go along and find out about transubstantiation. So when the kids ask about it, you know what Catholicism is. But no, it's more than that. It was actually evangelical. It is an attempt. It would be a good thing, says that you join this program, and it would be a good thing if you became a Catholic. We'd like you to find God and all that stuff. Well, there is the implication that might improve your career prospects. I hope not, but it might, and that doesn't sound very good. I'm also rather surprised, and Brent will know more about this than me, that Catholicism and evangelical things went together. I didn't think the Catholics were particularly evangelical, notwithstanding all the horrible things they did in South America in the past and such like. I didn't think that. I thought basically with the deal with Catholicism was do this, and you won't get eternity with red hot pokers up your bum. And that's a persuasive argument. Okay, fair enough. If I believe that, then I'll be a Catholic, because I don't want that.
I don't think it actually says that in the Bible verbatim.
That was not a phrase I expected on Sunday morning. My delicate sensibilities, John Gibbs, honestly. Just a comment here from Christopher Vowles, who often shares the panel with us. Surely there is no greater indication that one is in sympathy with the school's religious ethos than those who choose to enter full communion with the church. An interesting question to perhaps ponder on that subject.
Yeah, well, I'll just follow up with Chris. So that'll be implied, won't it? If you want to properly be part of this school, properly do this. Well,
I mean, the thing is, when you join a Catholic school, you aren't expected to join the Catholic Church. You are, but what you are expected to do is you're not expected to go the other way. You're not expected to turn around and go work against it. So you do follow the sort of we don't have assemblies, we have active worships, we pray before meal, prayer after meal. And looking around my staff room, which is getting more diverse by the year, the number of Catholics is getting less and less, but there is a definite feeling now of having to work harder to put the Catholicity into the school and even the staff. So going back to your evangelical situation, John, it is just my feeling is it's a rearguard action because numbers are dwindling. And for me, it's always about choice. I chose to work in the Catholic sector because completely opposite to Catherine, I feel home there. I feel like I can identify with that. I can feel I can be more myself. And judging a lot of my friends and colleagues, they chose, and choice is an important thing. When you choose to work in the sector, same as people who choose to work in a grammar school or choose to work in a local state school, choice is an important intrinsic motivator. I feel my ethos belongs within the Catholic sector, for all its faults. Faith-based education got me out of poverty, and I still believe in certain aspects of it. Do I want it reform? I want all sectors of education reform, but I still think we need the whole conversation about, I think, secularism and in general faith-based education. There's definitely a debate coming, and when you build on top of that recent story about the quotas that was coming from political high about Catholic schools allowing, I don't agree with that. I think you should be. The word Catholic means all inclusive. It's actually ironic. The word Catholic means all. I think Catherine would know that that's what it's meant to be. So this is, you're right, John, a bit of a deviation from the norm. I think driven out of desperation more than anything else.
Oh, most definitely. And I think maybe a potential show in there for either one of us or somebody else at Teachers Talk Radio, because it's a fascinating discussion, which I think there are many thoughts and positions that people take on it. So maybe look out for that as a potential show.
Perhaps I can just very quickly and rather cheekily say all these parents who want there to be Catholic schools, maybe they can come and join and recruit to become teachers and take the teacher training, because we've got a shortage of teachers anyway. So they can train as teachers and they can work in the Catholic schools.
Wow. Well, okay. You heard it here first. So before we move on to our final story, which I'm also very, very interested to hear from you all from, I just want to introduce a couple of new sponsors to you. One you are familiar with, who you have seen before, who we are very happy to have back with us, is John Catt, which this show is brought to you in partnership with. They are educational publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools and around the world. So don't miss out on leveling up your professional development today. Visit johncattbookshop.com. And we've got another new discount for you now. Listen carefully, because it's slightly different to the one we had before. This time it is JCTTR 2425. and that gives you 20% off the whole range. So do go and have a look. There will be some sponsored shows coming up as well in the near future of some particular titles, so look out for those, and happy reading to you all. Next up, we have Reading Solutions UK. Are you looking for best practices and innovative strategies to foster confident lifelong readers? Join the free, yes, free, online international reading conference on the 11th, 12th and 13th of June. You might have to have a word with your head teacher about attending this, but it is online. And hear from speakers like TV personality and education expert Basit Siddiqui, beloved children's author Michael Rosen, and the National Literacy Trust's Irene Picton. Through the 3-day conference, speakers will explore a range of topics at the forefront of the current educational landscape, with sessions relevant for all educators and key stages. Visit Reading Solutions at readingsolutions.co.uk to grab your free, yes, free ticket. So looking forward to all of that. Fantastic. Okay. Time for our final story of the day, which is about Strong Friday curriculum. And if you have no idea what that means, you're about to find out. So, a new one for you, or maybe not so new. I think this has been sort of in the ether for a while. So, in a bid to reduce absences, especially on Fridays, schools are now being encouraged to have robust curricula and extracurricular activities on a Friday. And this is suggested by DFA Minister Baroness Barron. Focus is on pupils with 5 to 15% absence. And the sessions should address in-school barriers and reduce, the idea is to reduce absences, which are often linked to in-school factors. Support for the year 7 to 8 transition. This shows a significant drop in attendance, especially amongst disadvantaged pupils. Continued support in school is necessary beyond the first year of secondary school, because of course there's a lot of work that goes into that 6 to 7 transition, less so when it comes to making that second, or that first step rather, in secondary school. Targeted support for free school meal pupils. Pupils receiving free school meals have the highest increase in absence since the pandemic, so the support needs to focus on them, and it's crucial for this group to improve their attendance. There's also concern regarding Key Stage 4, and particular concern for Year 11 girls who have the lowest attendance rate in this key stage. So the idea is to support them further as well with better offerings, in inverted commas, for Friday's curriculum. John, what are your thoughts on this? And again, we've got some tweets here to that you may want to include in what you were about to say.
Well, I'm rather disappointed by the comment there. It appears to have worked. What are you doing on Friday that you don't do the rest of the time? Why save the strong stuff for the Friday?
Well,
have all the rubbish on Mondays. I mean, I don't. What? So there is a strong curriculum out there. We'll do it all the time then. Let's do the strong. If there is a strong curriculum choice to be had, then do that all the time. Okay, Baroness Barron, the wonderfully named Baroness Barron, went to I think Benenden School, and she's a hedge fund manager. So obviously she knows about state education and has a great insight into the lives of ordinary people and why they might keep their kids home. All the multivarious reasons. It's just a daft remark from a government or a person connected to the government that has no real understanding of ordinary people's lives. On the other hand, I have certain sympathy with the idea that school should be more fun. Yeah, but by all means, if you can make school more fun and that gets kids in, do that. Yeah, absolutely. That's at least some of the reason why kids don't attend, as we've talked about in the past, is because of the stress they're under and the pressure we put them under, and because of lots of the ways they go into lessons and they experience things which are all about exams and not about enjoyment. Yeah, make school more fun, make school more enjoyable. When I first started teaching, just after I joined the school, it was a big progressive school, 3,000 kids, and they had every 10th day they suspended the curriculum. It was called Day 10, and Day 10 was just about play. That's all gone. All that stuff, that progressive education ideas have gone. Nowadays, it's get them in, fast-paced education. You can't have fast-paced, intense education and have fun. I'd say, yes, Baroness Barron, you may, for reasons that are daft, have stumbled upon something good. Have fun, more fun in school. Yeah, do that. Yeah.
Catherine, your thoughts on this? I mean, this, I think sort of feeds into the sort of wider curriculum discussion that we regularly have here on Weekly Review and across Teachers Talk Radio. I mean, surely, yes, we should be teaching robust and great curriculum throughout the week. But is there space maybe for Fridays being a bit more relaxed or a bit more sort of focused on, I don't know, the creative side of the curriculum, or should it just be going on more widely all the time?
It's just not practical in a secondary school, because I have like one lesson a week. Let's say year 7, we've got to do something like teach about Roman Catholicism, for example, lesson 1, transubstantiation, whatever it might be. And I'm going to see 6 classes across 2 weeks who all need that lesson. And some of them will get it on Monday morning, and some of them will get it on Tuesday afternoon, and some of them will get it on Thursday, and some of them will get it on Friday. And I have to have parity across the curriculum because because it's sensible, but also because that's what's expected. That's what I would be checked for should a deep dive ever come along. And so the idea that suddenly what do I need, a little sparkly jacket when I teach it on the Friday? I don't know. It's not practical. It doesn't really make any sense when you have a timetable where we have like a rolling program of different children at different times.
Sorry, it's just I was listening to you. I was just clearing my throat at the same time. No, I think that is an interesting thought. Particularly, I mean, I come from a primary angle on this, so I suppose it's maybe more realistic for me when I'm having my golden time on a Friday afternoon. And I can see Brent nodding. Brent, coming to you next on this before I go off on that tangent. I suspect that well, I mean, I never know what you're going to say, but I suspect you're just, I don't know, along the lines of, no, it should be great and good all the time, and all your lessons are fun. I know you've been challenged on this before. You're like, I'm always fun, and I'm always,
that when a child arrives into my class and says these immortal words, "Sir, can we do something fun today?" I do my best Russell Crowe in Gladiator. Are you not entertained? Are you not here to be entertained? And I basically go, next time you go home to your mother, tell your mother when she cooked your dinner, can I have something nice to eat today, and see what your response is. This is absolutely ridiculous. The function of education. We'll have fun Fridays, shall we? Taco Tuesdays and fun Fridays. What should we do? Just what? Give non-uniform days and Netflix days and computer gaming. Just let the kids do what they want. Yeah, come on into school. It's fun. Funny Fridays. Let's have funny Fridays. Have people dressed up in clown suits and basically, just give the kids what they want. Just give the kids what they want. It smacks off. Give the kid the dummy and satisfy the kid. It's pandering. It's absolutely weak. It's weak. It's absolutely weak. It's disgusting. Instead of actually turning around and saying, this is why there's poverty. This is why parents are keeping their kids off. We don't keep kids off. So it's saying that schools aren't doing a good job of attracting kids into schools. What do they want us to do? Have one hand tied behind our back with budget constraints. Give us the money. Give us the teacher. Give us the facilities. Give us the opportunities to make school a lot better. Instead of saying, let's just look at the fabric of the schools, the way schools are organized, and then say to us why our kids are off school. County lines, lack of social care, lack of all those things going on. And they're putting it down to schools aren't entertaining the kids, then the kids don't find school fun. Well, let me tell you this, school's not meant to be fun. It's meant to be engaging. This idea that school's meant to be fun, we've got no chance of competing with 24/7 culture and TikTok. Should we just have a TikTok day, TikTok Friday?
Oh, no, I'm breaking out in hives as you're saying it. Even as a primary teacher, I'm breaking out in. I mean, we do. I mean, I do sort of hear you, and obviously the sort of the secondary perspective is, but I do wonder, sort of maybe in primary. I mean, I have often joked with head teachers and said, you are welcome to come and teach year 4 on a Friday afternoon. But because I have that different structure, because I am with those kids all the time, and, the majority of the curriculum is my responsibility. So I have to, if I do want to have that golden time on a Friday afternoon, I can kind of adjust accordingly. It's very, very different when you've got multiple classes coming through the door, as Catherine described, each week. And regardless of whether it is Monday morning or Friday afternoon, it is your absolute responsibility to cover that. I think it becomes a different beast in secondary, which is primarily what that whole idea focused on. Whereas in primary, we do have, or at least we try to have, that little bit of degree of flexibility, and because of the children we're working with are that much younger. But so some strong feelings on that one. Go on, John.
I'll just say one word as the Minister of Mirth here, Brent. I would stand up for yeah, I get it. You can't be fun, and I've had that. Kids come into lessons and say, "Are we doing anything fun today?" And it is absolutely galling. But we have, I think, driven a lot of the enjoyment of learning, if not necessarily fun, out of education through many of the changes of recent years.
And again, a conversation that I think we will come back to once again, as I can see Brent quietly seething in the corner of my screen there. But before anyone explodes, we're going to do shows of the week. Okay, who to pick on first? I am going to pick on John first today.
Well, I listened to the Friday Twilight show with Catherine Howell's Friday show, and this was talking to a teacher who just done the first year in her career as a head teacher. It was a young lady called Monique, and well, I know nothing about being a primary school head teacher. I wouldn't want to be one. It sounds like an enormously difficult job that covers being good at basically everything. A man manager, a personnel manager, a student manager, a social worker, everything. And listening to this, I heard that. I heard what enormous weight must fall on people when they become a head of a primary school. That's the head of any school, really, or any teacher. But anyway, head of a primary school, who do that? And listening to it, what came through was the enthusiasm, of course, the dedication, and so on. So anyone, whether you're a head, you want to be a head, or you just want to hear what it's like to be a head of a primary school, it's a great show.
Fantastic. Brent, coming to you next.
Yeah, I listened to the mental health show by Sabrina, and she had Becky Dawson on, who was a mental health lead, former teacher and safeguarding lead as well. And it was really, really good. It's I could identify a lot of what she was saying about, looking after the staff well-being, staff burnout, and the whole school approach to mental health. Because I think there's a definite crisis within education. That won't be solved by a fun curriculum on a Friday, let's be honest with you. So it was some really, really good suggestions there, I think, for the staff, but also for the students, because I think there's a lot of focus sometimes just on the student mental health and forgetting that we're human beings too. We're not a different species, us teachers. And I think leadership management sometimes don't realize how much, we're struggling. And I think we ourselves don't often admit how much we're struggling, because we're a bit martyrish within teaching. So it was really good from hear that from Becky's point of view. So that was the last night's late show with Sabrina.
Fantastic. And who have I missed? Catherine.
So I listened to Michelle Hines, and she was talking about sort of leadership for change. She had Chris Simmons, who's a vice principal, on, and I really liked the way that the show took in his perspective, and she asked them some really brilliant questions. They had a really good discussion about what leadership is and the styles of leadership and the different literature around that. And then in the second part of the show, so the last 20 minutes, she was actually the guest had gone, and she really talked about her own journey and her own perspective and her own sort of view about leadership done well and leadership done not so well that she's experienced, and her own views. And I thought it was really reflective and really interesting. So I'd recommend that.
Fantastic. And just finally from me, Chris Passey's show on, and I know we've talked about vaping an awful lot. It's come up time and time again. But this show was interesting because Chris was joined by a paramedic whose name I'm just looking up now, Harry DeVoyle, who is a paramedic. He's also a lecturer. And what was really interesting about this was that he talked about he didn't shy away from the idea that there are some pros to vaping when it comes to quitting smoking and things like that. But when it comes to our children, that's where it's becoming a problem, where they are putting addictive substances into their bodies, and the research is not actually there yet. So whilst we're telling them, yes, there are definitely problems when it comes to vaping. The research is still very much kind of out as to the long-term impacts of this, but we still need to be making sure that as educators and as professionals that we are not encouraging children towards these things, that we are taking them away from it as best we can, and putting alternatives in place, etc. But a really interesting lesson, so I'd encourage you towards that. And on the subject of shows as well, just looking forward to next week, we have got a sponsored show coming up, and you can see here. So this is a reading solutions show. Rebecca Ricketts, a former host, is joining us. Mr. Tom Hopkinsburg is hosting. We've also got Sarah Jackson Buckley joining us, and Anne-Marie Vincent, and they're going to be discussing the necessity of reading to open up the curriculum. And again, this is something that we've touched on in various shows before, but I think will be really interesting to see where this goes in terms of the importance of reading across not only, well, all throughout school, because as we've said before, without reading, the rest of the curriculum becomes very difficult to access. So look out for that on Tuesday at 7:30 over on Twitter or X Spaces, depending on your preferred name for the platform. That is it, I believe, for everything this week. I can say that we've covered a lot as always. Remember to follow us on Twitter /X at TT Radio Official, and LinkedIn as well at Teachers Talk Radio. We are across many platforms these days, which is great. We will be back in some way, shape or form next week with a whole new set of stories to discuss, turn purple in the face over, jump up and down over, maybe have a laugh about as well in some cases. But thank you to my panel, to Brent, to John and to Catherine. Have a lovely rest of the weekend, everybody, and we will chat soon.